So my topic is on the anxious brain, and when I was given this topic, I immediately thought of physical activity and its effects on anxiety, because it personally helps me whenever I get stressed out to go on a run or to go to the gym and work out. And so I wanted to know the extent of its effects on anxiety, as well as to find concrete evidence, neuroimaging evidence to help back it up. I will be covering the statistics that deal with anxiety disorders, as well as the origin of anxiety in the brain, which is finding the brain mechanisms that deal with anxiety, and then I will correlate between anxiety levels and exercise. This will be done by viewing the DeMore et al. Survey studies. This was the DeMore et al. Studies was actually my inspiration because after viewing the study, I could not find any neuroimaging data of physical activity affecting the brain. After talking about my research proposal, I will talk about predicted results and its implications, whether if it's successful or not. So anxiety-related mental illnesses affect 18% of the United States population, which makes it the most common mental illness in the country. These mental illnesses also cost the U.S. more than $44 billion a year, and although it's highly treatable, only a third of the people suffering anxiety disorders seek help. So my first task was to find the brain area that is associated with anxiety, and Monk and his colleagues tested 29 children, and 17 of those children had generalized anxiety disorder. So 12 of those children are classified as healthy. They were then showed neutral faces, which are shown on the right, and scary faces, which are shown on the left. And these faces were presented separately for 17 milliseconds and were then followed by a mask of jumbled up faces for 68 milliseconds afterward. This task was to find if there's attentional bias, and there was none found. However, in the fMRI scans, right hemisphere amygdala did show a large response for children with GAD when they were viewing the scary faces. Another study that helped me pinpoint that the amygdala is the brain mechanism that is affected by anxiety is a study done by Thomas and his colleagues. This one is similar to the Monk and colleagues studies, except this one tested 12 healthy children and 12 children with anxiety disorders. This one, in addition, also collected self-reported anxiety symptoms measured by the SCARED survey, and it showed that it positively correlated with difference between neutral and fearful faces. As you can see on the graph, the anxious children had a higher percentage in right amygdala activity, and the healthy children actually showed a decreased amygdala activity. So the main point of those two studies is that the anxious children showed a greater amygdala activity in the right hemisphere, and these evidence prove that the amygdala is the active brain area that deals with anxiety. After I found the origin of anxiety, I wanted to find data that correlated physical activity with anxiety levels, and the study done by DeMore and his colleagues, I feel like effectively did so. It was a population study done with 19,288 people, and their age and gender varied. As you can see, the reported anxiety levels were lower for both exercising men and women. The dotted lines are the non-exercising men and women, and they reported higher scores for all of those surveys that they were given. So the main point in my research proposal is to relate physical activity with amygdala activity, and this proposal aims to back up the DeMore et al. Survey study by integrating the findings of Thomas and his colleagues and Monk and his colleagues in hopes to find concrete change in the amygdala and anxiety levels depending on physical activity. So in short, my thesis is that physical activity will negatively decrease amygdala activity. This research proposal will consist of 600 participants, and 500 of those participants will have characterized anxiety disorders. I will then divide the 500 people into 5 groups of 100 people. So one exercising for 10 minutes every day, the next 20 minutes, the next 30 minutes, the next 40 minutes, and finally the last group with no physical activity, and they will serve as a control group. I will also then take 100 healthy people as a comparison group. In addition, I want to give surveys that were similar to the ones in the DeMore and colleagues studies to track reported anxiety levels and to see if there's a correlation between amygdala activity and reported anxiety levels. For my procedure, I will be taking weekly fMRI scans of all 600 participants to track amygdala activity in the 2 months the subjects are participating. The tasks during the fMRI scans will be similar to the Monk et al. And Thomas et al. Studies, except I will be showing a neutral face of a man and a woman, and a fear-inducing picture of a face of a man and a woman. I will also have my participants click a button if they see a picture of a woman to ensure attention. If my thesis is wrong, my results will show that there's no change in percent of amygdala activity in all exercising group. As you can see, there's no data change on the graph, and this means that the correlation of physical activity affecting amygdala activity and anxiety levels does not exist. However, with my predicted results, if successful, we will see a lower amygdala activity percent change when subjects who exercise viewed fear-inducing faces. Those who exercise for 30 minutes or more every day, however, will show an even more significant change. And by the second month, the signal change in right amygdala activity will even be lower, especially in the exercising group of 30 minutes or more. In this line graph, these results show the changes in reported anxiety levels in the first and second month, with the second month showing lower reported anxiety. As you can see, those who exercise reported lower anxiety scores for both months as well. The implications of my research would be that if my thesis was proven wrong, more time and money would be spent on treating anxiety. However, if it was proven right, physical activity can be implemented to PTSD therapy programs or be applied more in public schools to inhibit possible development of anxiety-related mental illnesses in children. This could lead to a decrease of cost of anxiety-related mental illnesses as well as lowering the number of the population affected. And these are my works cited. Thank you.